decarbonizing our energy mix is another topic where Greece is doing very well, I could say greatly. And let me say a few things in order to justify my notice. First of all, let me say that in 2018, almost 30% of the electricity demand was coming from renewables. 4 years after, by the end of 2022, 50% of the country's demand, electricity demand, will come from renewables. So we have managed to almost double the contribution of renewables into our energy mix, into our electricity mix, just in 4 years. How did we manage to do this? By deploying, in 4 years, almost 5,000 megawatts of new renewables. So by the end of 2022, since 2019, we will have deployed 5,000 megawatts. Greece, already in 2021, was the 8th country in the world concerning the contribution of renewables into the country's energy mix, including hydroelectric power plants. 40% in 2021 of the country's demand came from renewables. Let me say that, and I have to say this, that was not the case 5 years earlier. So between 2015 and 2018, so 2015, 16, 17, and 18, we had constructed and connected into the grid just less than 1,500 megawatts. What this means is that because we have managed to construct 5,000 megawatts of new renewables in 4 years, in 2023, we will not import natural gas at a value of 1.7 billion euro at the current price, not at the current prices, at the prices 2 weeks ago. So if we estimate that 5,000 renewables are producing 8,000 electric megawatt hours, that means 16,000 thermal megawatt hours of natural gas, which multiplied by 100 euro, that means 1.6 billion. If you multiply this by 50 euro, that means 800 million euro. And this will continue. So by 2026, we have targeted that we are going to deploy around 6,000 new megawatts of new renewables, of additional renewables. That means that we are going to arrive to the current target of 2030, 4 years and earlier, in 2026. So in 2026, we have estimated that 62% of the country's demand in electricity will come from renewables. In order to achieve this, of course, we are accelerating the pace of the construction of new renewables. Just 2 weeks ago, we passed a new law for the further simplification of the maturing process of renewables. We are reducing the total maturing period from 5 years down to 14 months by cutting the red tape, eliminating some processes which are unnecessary, and of course by allowing some other stages and some other processes to be materialized in parallel and not with some time hierarchy. Now for that, of course, in order to arrive to the new revised target of 2030, where we need 70% of the electricity consumption to come from renewables, that means that we have to build a significant amount of storage capacity. We have estimated that we will need around 5 gigawatt of storage systems in order to increase the penetration of renewables. We have already allocated 450 million euro from the RRF in order to make possible and more attractive for these investments to take place promptly. We recently took the approval from DG Comp for a new support scheme for batteries, for the deployment of battery storage, both contributing to the CapEx, but also to the operational expenditures. We're going to have the first auction for battery storage. We want to have the first auction next autumn. Of course, the upgrading of interconnections and of the electricity grids is necessary. Our IPTO, our TSO, electricity TSO, is going to do investments of more of 5 billion euro during the next years for the upgrading of the system. As I said earlier, we are doubling the electricity capacity, interconnection capacity with Bulgaria by the end of the year. We are planning to double the electricity capacity, interconnection capacity with North Macedonia by the end of the decade, with Albania and with Italy again by the end of this decade. And of course, we have this great visionary project to connect southeastern Europe, Greece, with North Africa, Egypt, again by the end of this decade, a 3 gigawatt of electricity cable that will transfer green energy produced in Egypt at a very competitive prices to Greece, and from Greece, of course, to the northern countries. Of course, some of that green energy, electricity, will be used in order to produce hydrogen, green hydrogen, which is the other pillar that we are promoting, the production of green energy and the use of green energy to transport, to the industry, but also as a storage facility. So this is what we're doing in order to decarbonize Greece. And of course, this will help us also to decarbonize the southeastern Europe, because we have a competitive advantage. We have high radiation, higher than the northern countries. So we can produce electricity from the sun and from the wind that we have at a cost-effective manner, and thus exporting this. We want to be net exporter of green energy from 2030 and onwards. Even now, there are many days during during spring that we were exporting green energy during the noon hours to Bulgaria and to the rest countries, and of course to Italy.